Good evening. It's good to have a chance to talk with you again. And as I was out and about today, I was seeing a lot of people who are sort of thinking about spring as I'm thinking about spring. And a lot of people were in stores buying seeds and buying things getting ready for spring. And although we haven't, I guess maybe it's because we've been in this virus situation where they've taken a lot of the things that people normally like to do for fun, and they've had a lot of time to kind of sit around and think about things. And it's maybe getting people to looking ahead. And that's one of the things that spring does is makes, especially those of you who live in the country like me who likes to garden and things, you start thinking about planting things and getting ready for the things that summer brings and all this stuff. And so a lot of people get really excited about a chance to plant flowers, plant tomato plants, trees, shrubs, gardens, all the stuff. And seeing this, it reminded me something. As these people buying seeds, it reminded me of how that people do things this time of year, and how they do start thinking about that sort of thing. There's a passage in the scripture in the Bible, and this is a teaching that goes through all faiths, no matter what your faith is. You're going to find this same principle in it. But Jesus said one time, he said that except a corn of wheat, if or a grain of wheat, if you got a grain of wheat, he said, except it fall into the ground and die, that it basically, he says, abides alone or it remains alone. But if it does fall in the ground and die, then it brings forth much fruit. Now that's a normal thing to say, but he follows it up with a very strange statement, a very strange parable or statement about trying to explain this. And he says, whoever loves his life here or tries to hold on to his life here will lose it. But whoever hates his life or is willing to give his life up will get to keep it. There's an amazing truth in this that I just felt like I wanted to share this evening, and that is that it's as if he's describing life as if life is like a grain of corn, as if you get a grain of corn and you've got options to do something with it. Now, in the time when this was written and in the time when most of our faiths were brought about, they didn't go down to the store. Matter of fact, my grandfather didn't go down to the store and buy corn and bean seed and pea seed and all this stuff in the spring to get his garden. Instead, what he actually did was the summer, at the end of the summer, previous summer, he was confronted with a choice. He could either eat all of the corn as it was in the field, all this pretty corn that's standing there. They could eat that. Or he could take some of it, not eat it, and instead save it until next spring to replant for the next year's crop. Now, I don't know what it was like then, but I know that there was a lot of times that there was famine. A lot of times there was hard times, hard winters. And I'm sure it was a big temptation not to cook that corn through the winter when you were hungry and eat it. But he knew that even as this principle, that if he planted that one grain of corn, that it would literally bring back hundreds of grains if he held on to it and planted it into the ground instead of eating it. And that's the way life is. It's as if your life is like a grain of corn, and God has handed you your life, and you decide what you're going to do with it. You can eat it and chew it up, and it'll taste sweet, and it'll probably be fun for a few minutes. It'll feel good, and it'll go down in your body and give you a few calories that you could either burn or turn into fat, and you can carry it around. But nonetheless, it's a short time that you're going to enjoy it. Or you can take your life and invest it and plant it and put it into something bigger than you. Instead of eating it, instead of consuming it on yourself, you can place it in something else and invest it in something else that's bigger than you And then it will feed you again and again and again and again. It's been my experience in this life that if you want to truly have a good life, and the reason I'm bringing this up tonight is because I think a lot of people are thinking about their lives in different ways because of this virus. As I said, they've taken a lot of the fun things away from us. They've put a lot of people at home. Even if you're like me and going out, your job requires you still work like always. The weekends come, there's not near as much to do. I can't go to church. I can't do a lot of the things I enjoy doing. And a lot of people are like that. So I think because of that, and because of the threat of this virus, they tell us how deadly this virus is, it's given a lot of people time to think about, probably, maybe some for the first time, about their mortality. The idea that I could die, that my life ain't always going to be around. And although that's scary for some, that is true. We are going to die. We only got so much time here. It's not a matter of whether we'll die or not, but more like of how and when. So you've only got so much time here to be spent doing anything. So in that way, it is kind of like the grain of corn. You can either live your life for yourself. You can indulge in whatever brings you pleasure. I don't know what it is you like or what it is that you enjoy, that you get out of life. I don't know how you satisfy the appetites. Be food, sex, fun, travel, shopping, stuff. Maybe you're the person that's got to have attention. Maybe you need honor. Whatever it is. But if you give yourself to that, you know already that never satisfies, but just for a few minutes. And then it's right back that you need it again. You need to do something else. You need to find it again. But this principle says if you, instead of using your life for that, instead you'll put it into something bigger than you, it'll come back over and over and over. It'll multiply 100 times. And as I think about what he was saying, and you say, what do you invest in life? Well, that's your choice. But I can tell you that the meaning of life, according to all that I understand and all that I know, and I fully believe, the meaning of life is wrapped up in the idea and in the belief that the true meaning of life comes from two things. That is loving God and loving the people around you. To love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and your neighbor, which is simply the people around you, as yourself, is the meaning of life. It's the absolute meaning of life. So I think instead of spending your life, you can spend your life living moment to moment, day to day, just enjoying whatever you can enjoy for the moment, just all about you, or you can put it into those things. And how you express that's your choice. It's your grain of corn. It's your plant. It is. But if you will, as he said, if you try to hold on to it and indulge and enjoy it, you'll lose it. But if you're willing to invest it and give it away, to give your life to God and give your life to others around you, you'll get to keep it. And Jesus said you'll keep it forever, throughout eternity. There's nothing else like that. There's no other deal like that. But the wonderful thing about this is that you can test this. You can test this by doing it moment by moment, day by day. Instead of, give a day. Start out with a day. Instead of taking a day of spending on indulging on yourself, watching hours of TV that's all reruns now, invest it in time spent in prayer with God, or nothing else, call one of your neighbors or one of your friends. Invest it in making something to give to someone else. Investing it in something bigger than you is where life truly brings us sustenance again and again and again. I just wanted to share that with you today. I know it's a time of the year when we're planting and thinking about the future, and people are starting to think about when this is all ends. And I don't know when it is. That's for other people to decide. But when this does move us forward, what's the future going to be? What are you going to take this life? You've been spared. If you've been spared this life, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I've been in the situation where I've talked to people in their last hours, last days. And they make peace with God, and they look at me and they say, what can I do now? All you can do now at that point, or what you can do now at this point, it's the same answer. It's take what time you've got left and make it count. I don't know how much time you've got. I don't know how much time I've got. But the best advice, according to what this text says, is to take what time you've got left and make it count. Don't live for the moment. Live for a greater moment. Live for something bigger than yourself. Invest your life and your time in something bigger than you, and it'll bring you a satisfaction that you can never get any other way. May the Lord bless you with a good rest of the day.